Okay, we're live now. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic Podcast. I have one of my favorite guests with me tonight. I have back with me Liz Cross. It's been a while since Liz has been on my show, but me and Liz have been doing shows since I'd say 2022, on and off. And we both had channels taken down from YouTube. That's kind of what we were just talking about. Because if you're new to my channel, I've had my channel recently taken down where I had 20,000 subscribers. And it just got ripped away. So I'm kind of building on Rumble and YouTube. But we're going to talk about that tonight. But let me tell you more about my guest. Liz Cross is a world-renowned psychic, remote viewer, and intuitive strategist, well known for her bold predictions and laser-sharp accuracy. Founder of the Remote Viewing Association and host of PsychicLizCross.com, she specializes in probing the minds of world leaders, breaking geopolitical trends, and delivering powerful insights that blend intelligence, intuition, and deep perception. Her work has gained a cult following for its fearless takes on global events, spiritual warfare, and future timelines. Liz has been featured on countless podcasts and shows and is a fan favorite on the Typical Skeptic Podcast for her no-nonsense, truth bombs, and shockingly accurate reads. In tonight's highly anticipated live stream, fan favorite Liz will return for a psychic deep dive into world affairs and the spiritual pulse of the planet. We'll be mind-probing Donald Trump, unpacking escalating tensions with Iran, and exploring what's really going on behind the scenes of the global matrix. Plus, maybe Liz will do live readings and answer audience questions, too, for you guys. So, with all that said, I'd like to give her a big warm welcome back to the show. Liz, thanks so much for coming back on. How are you?
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm just so excited to be here with you, Rob. But you worry me. I don't know what's going on in your world. I don't know what you've done to YouTube, but I thought that's where we could start tonight is probe YouTube. What is going on with YouTube? What would you like to know?
Well, I'd like to know why they shut me down and why they won't monetize my new channel. Because so for the people that I'll say it again, I got my channel taken down. I had 20,000 subscribers, and now I have this new channel where I've quickly built up 3,000 subscribers, but I do feel heavily shadow banned. I feel like my old fans can't find me, and I've qualified for monetization 3 times by YouTube, and every time I've applied to be monetized, they've denied me. So I've had to rely on, fan donations. I've had to rely on money from my audio podcast. I've had to rely on, money from Rumble because I'm in the Rumble Creator Program, which I told you about. So, I make it work, but, it would be nice to be monetized by YouTube again. So it would be nice to know what's going on behind the scenes as to why they're doing this and what they have against me specifically,
Yeah, so let's ask YouTube. Let's grab YouTube as an entity. For the benefit of the audience, we love the audience and we appreciate everybody, but it takes a long time to even see anything substantial from YouTube. I really believe that people must think that YouTube pays a lot more than what it actually does. I mean, you know as well as I do, Rob, it's very difficult unless you're up to like 100,000 subscribers. It's hard to make money off YouTube. So it's just one avenue of income, and I totally get that, and I understand that you are all over Spotify, you're all over Apple, are you with Android as well? Can they tune in with Android or?
Yeah. It's like Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. I'm on Listen Notes. I'm on basically every audio podcast every audio platform you can want to be on. And then I'm on Rumble. I'm on Odyssey. I just started a Substack. I'm not real big on Substack. Some of my peers are a lot bigger, like Laura Eisenhower, she's a friend of mine. She has like 15,000 followers on Substack. But I'll tell you what, I really love Substack because I love the freedom to be able to write. Now, I've only written 3 articles so far, but, I think they've come out pretty good. I did one on Art Bell because it was Art Bell's birthday. Then I did one on Project Oblivion, which is this thing that this girl, Olivia James, thinks is hitting the disclosure community. It's like it's like something sinister that's attacking podcasters and stuff. It could be one of the reasons why YouTube targeted me. But then I also wrote a one on like conspiracy behind rap lyrics too. So I did like 3 articles, but I really like Substack. It's like there's a lot of freedom there, and they don't censor too. So I started a Substack. I'm on TikTok. I don't post a lot on TikTok, but I think I'm even monetized on TikTok, which I should take more advantage of. But I can't get their live streaming software to work, so I'm all over the place. I'm on Rumble, TikTok, Substack. Like if we keep this under an hour, I can put it on TikTok. But the thing is like, it's so hard once you go over an hour, because they'll only let you post pre-recorded videos up to an hour. Once you go over an hour, it's so hard because then you have to edit it and then you have to wait for it to like transcribe or whatever or process. So I try to just upload the videos that I do like for less than an hour on there, so for just because it's easier,
Yeah. So let's ask YouTube, like, what's going on. So I've got YouTube as an entity. What's going on with you and the typical skeptic podcast? Okay, immediately, Rob, they've come back and they said we don't like him. Why don't you like him? He's dark. What do you mean by he's dark? A lot of the subject matter that you cover is dark subject matter. So I know you do a lot of alien stuff. I know you do, some far out stuff. What is it specifically though about the Typical Skeptic podcast that bothers you? We can't support that. Okay, so let's ask this question. Are you now no longer monetizing like tarot card readers, psychics, alien stuff? I mean, if you're not monetized now, are you stopping monetize? So I don't feel that this is directly aimed at you, Rob. I'm getting that for future reference, they are really, really being mindful of monetizing psychic information, anything out of the ordinary. What they're saying to me is that YouTube is absolutely saturated with it. They don't want their platform to be like an esoteric platform.
Yeah.
So it's not just you. This is for anybody. So, I mean, God forbid, I've already had 2 channels taken down. That was in 2022. And, when YouTube takes your channels down, you go black, right? I mean, that's it. You can't do anything. And then you can try to dispute it, but then you're arguing with a bot and they don't care what you have to say. It's very rare. No, I remember one time you got taken down, but you fought it and you won.
Yeah, I did. The first time I got my channel terminated, I fought it and I won. And it was a big deal. It was a big deal on Facebook. Like, I had a lot of people support me, and I was just going to say, while we're doing this, guys, I'm putting the links in to donate. If you want to support the podcast, you can, like through PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. It's much, much appreciated. A lot of my fans already do. So, it's, if you don't have to, you're not obligated to. And if you have a question that you want us to answer, you can put it in the chat. Or you can because I can't get super chats because I'm not monetized. So if you want to ask a question and you want it recognized, you probably need to PayPal, because then it'll pop up and then I can see it, like, because I can't get super chats. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So it's like,
okay. Well, no worry. This is, a lot of these are my crowd anyway. So we'll just let them ask all the questions tonight. But
yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm getting. It's not just you. So for instance, God forbid, excuse me, I had got my channel torn down again, and I'm praying that doesn't happen. But if I did have it torn down again, would they monetize me? No, they would not.
Yeah, I was monetized the whole time with my old channel, and I was making, I
Oh.
would say I was making in between for ad revenue, I was making between like $700 to $1,000, plus like I had 20,000 subscribers, so like I would make money just from appearing on that channel, because I would get more affiliate clicks, I would get more merch sales, I would get more, everything, so it's like, it's definitely important to have a YouTube presence, but you don't need to be monetized. You can work around it, like for all the
Yeah.
people that are aspiring to be podcasters out there, you really don't need YouTube. I mean, you do, but you don't, like you need it for exposure, but you don't need it for their monetization. And I've noticed that, if you're monetized, they're going to hit you on their radar harder, like because they want their monetized content more polished. Whereas like if you don't monetize your videos, you might be less likely to show up on their radar. Just a tip for people out
Yeah.
there.
Oh, totally. I mean, totally. Yeah, you are. I only got one strike. That was a long time ago, and it was because we did an old time photo where the person in the picture was a young Filipino soldier. He was over the age of 18, but they said because I had a picture of a child dressed in military uniform and holding what looked to be a gun, I got a strike because I was inciting violence,
Oh my God, that's
child
crazy.
violence. Yeah,
That's insane.
of
The
course
things
it
that
is.
I mean, the things that they strike people for are so crazy. It's like it's really out there. I don't know. So I mean, I'm just gonna keep trying to. Oh, uh, someone. Okay, we have a question from Grace Face. She says, Liz, can you talk about the 5D Ascension timeline tonight, or tap into it?
Yeah, sure. Why not? That's a pretty popular question I get. But the 5D ascension. So I'm going to grab 5D, the level 5 ascension. What would you like to know? Do you have any questions, Rob?
I don't. This was her question. I don't know. Like, I wanted to get into
Okay.
the and Iran stuff, but like, I would say, are we on that timeline? Are we on the timeline where we're ascending to a higher dimension, or like, are we evolving as humans?
Are we ascending to another dimension? Only the soul can ascend to another dimension, not a human. As in, that's a soul thing. Humans don't actually physically ascend. I mean, they can that's all about the soul. I know what she's talking about, and I believe it's to do with, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's to do, oh, we're going into this 5D consciousness, we're going to ascend here. No, that I don't know where people get that sort of concept from. I know a lot of people have put that concept out, but the only way the soul really ascends is through the levels, the dimensions. It's not about the human ascension, if that makes sense. Like in the physical body, are you going to suddenly wake up and think, oh, as a collective, we are not now all 5D? No, because ascension is personal and private to an individual, to the soul.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That sounds about right too, right? Because it's your own personal evolution, right?
Right. It's the soul's own personal evolution. Yeah. And I mean, the best way to judge 5D is we've done a probe on this before where we grabbed like people that were in their last lifetime here on the earth plane, and when we came across that information, those people were really kind of living lives of solitude. They were poor. For the most part, they were living very simplistic lives. They were grateful for every day they woke up, every day they went to bed. They didn't talk very much. They didn't need to talk very much. They didn't really mingle with society. They didn't get into the news and things that are going on. So 5D ascension really is about just extreme gratitude here on the earth plane. That you don't need to manifest anything when you're in 5D ascension, right? Because you have this total acceptance of this is the system. I don't need to worry about my lack of self-love because I've worked on it so much. I have an abundance of self-love. I accept the system. I accept why I was here, what I'm doing here. I'm grateful for any challenges that come my way. That's 5D ascension. Now, now after you hear that definition or that explanation and you look at the regular like mass population of human beings, would you say that they're on their way to 5D ascension? No, they're nowhere close. They're nowhere close to it.
Yeah, yeah. There's only it's only like our little community that's awake and like actually like doing stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like, right? I mean, like it's like I don't know, I don't know. And then did you ever hear that we're supposed to have a certain amount of the percentage? Like people say we're supposed to have a certain percentage of the population, on some timeline to ascend or something like that. Like we need to hit a certain percent, and if we do that, we'll ascend. Have you ever heard that?
Well, let's ask that question to Source. So, is there a concept that if we hit a certain percentage of like awake, no, I'm getting a no. I'm
Yeah,
getting a no on that. It really is down to the individual programming.
yeah. We did have a PayPal here. That's why I was looking down. I was checking out. This was from Robin Thomas, and
Oh,
I
okay. Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Robin. And she says here, she says, to get my attention, she says, "Hey Rob," she says, "question for Liz." She says, "How long will I work at Metra, and how pleasant will the work experience be?" She says, "Will I learn a lot?"
How long will she work at
Metra.
Metra? How long will about a year? And you will the work experience be pleasant? No, you will get tired of it. I think you're going to find that you're going to learn a lot, you're going to grow as an individual. You're going to learn what you like, what you don't like, but the it's a step. It's like a gateway to something else. It gives you more of an assurance that, well, this isn't really what I want to be doing. I think I want to do something else. I do believe you will meet some fantastic people along the way, is what I'm getting. But yeah, it's about a year.
Wow. And then she says, "Do you think she'll learn a lot from it?"
Yes. Oh yeah, you will for sure. You will, but you're going to be all caught up in. There's a lot of politics around Metro. I don't even know what Metro is, but apparently there's a lot of politics. You don't want to really get involved in all of that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah. We had another one. This was from Sandra Bender. Okay, and she
Oh,
says, from Code the Walt Water. She says, "Liz, I'm working on changing my soul family for unconditional love. Will I succeed accomplishing this timeline, and can I take my positives from this life with me? Does your script
ooh.
cover us for this goal? Thank you, Rob and Liz," she says.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's ask, is she going? Yeah, you're already doing it. You're already doing it. You're already breaking away. So I'm sure you're using the CTT because I know you're a CTT warrior. You are diligently using the CTT. So that script of, breaking away and finding a soul family that unconditionally loves you. I'll never forget that session, by the way. That was so intense. But you will definitely, by the time you are ready to pass, which is a long time from now, but by the time you're ready to cross over, you will immediately go up, and you will have prospect new prospect soul families waiting to interview you, and you interview them. So what, that script that you're doing is working. And if you want to drop that script on the Discord, by all means, for everyone else, yes, please.
That's awesome. Yeah, and good luck. I hope that works for you, Sandra. You seem like a really nice person. Thank you for donating. That was very nice of you. Like, what I wanted to do is get to the meat and potatoes of what I kind of titled the show for. And
I know.
I know you're not afraid to go into geopolitics because I know that's kind of what you do. And yesterday we all got hit with a bombshell, right? Literally, right? Like I couldn't believe it when I heard it. Because it was funny. Like I just did a show with Brad Olson yesterday. For you guys know that Brad Olson, he's like a esoteric researcher, and we were talking about it. And like the conversation kind of got heated in the chat because we had a girl that was from Israel, and she showed up in the chat and she was like, we're attacking Iran because their nuclear facilities aren't done. And then we kind of just let it go. We were like, well, let's just all pray for world peace, right? Because that's what we all want. We don't want a war. You know what I mean? I don't want a war. There's some people that are war hungry, but like I've seen enough of it in my life. I've lived through the George Bush era of the 9/11 bullshit. You know what I mean? Going to Iraq for weapons of mass destruction that were never there. And, the Condoleezza Rice, Dick Cheney cabal, and now I voted for Trump, so I'm not against Trump, right? But I voted for a guy that said he was going to keep us out of war. Now, I'm not. What I am is neutral. I'm a neutral, independent thinker, and I voted for Trump. But I try to stay independent, neutral, and report everything from all sides. But I'm not very happy about this because I don't know if this was like if we needed to do this or not. Like, and I know you kind of report things from a neutral perspective too. So, do you think we should ask about what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. I don't know if you saw it. I know you're busy, but so yesterday we did this whole sort of remote view and we moved that supreme leader, Iranian supreme leader out into the future. And I was like, oh, he's like dead. He's not there. Now, this is before the bombs went off. This was like 11 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, well, I have to give you what I'm getting, which is he's dead. And of course, at the time of getting that information, that was very, very bizarre because we weren't at the stage where we are now. And then, of course, 7 o'clock, when we were just about to publish the video anyway, here comes the news that they've bombed these 3 sites. So we did a follow up this morning, and I hope that people managed to look at the follow up. So, what is Iran's next move? So, let's tune in to the Supreme Leader. I mean, as soon as I connect with him, he is angry. He is furious. He feels like he's been made a fool out of. He's the laughing stock of the world. Again, a big ego in play here. I think they all have big egos. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter if who you like and who you don't like. I think just to be in that position, you have to have a very large ego.
I agree.
And they've got their plan. Okay, because when I tapped into them this morning, they were still trying to figure it out. Right? They're going to hit. What are your plans? So they're going to hit the American military base now. I'm getting very strongly, and you'll have to do a quick Google because I can't do this, but I would ask, where are the military bases in the Middle East?
Where are
And
the U.S.? I can ask ChatGPT. I can
yeah,
ask ChatGPT real quick.
for
Yeah.
some reason, I'm getting like very close to Syria.
Then we might have one in Lebanon. I would guarantee you that there's CIA operatives all over the Middle East to try to get a feel of what's going on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. But they do rely heavily. What we came across this morning was that they rely so heavily upon the intelligence from Israel. Like
Yeah.
that is crucial. Um, because Israel have people planted in there. So did you manage to get an answer for
Yeah,
those chat?
I got it real quick. We have bases. We have bases in Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia. Wait, well, holy shit! We're all over the place. So Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Jordan, Iraq, Syria, Turkey. So we're
Okay,
all
Syria. Okay, that makes sense because they did say Syria. Okay. So they think that they're going to hit the military base in Qatar. No, the most vulnerable target is the military base in Syria. They're
that's
planning to also capture, okay, I have to give this to you. They're planning to also capture those soldiers and publicly execute them.
wow. Wow. And I wanted to ask you this because I think this is important. Can we ask the consciousness of the United States this? Do they have sleeper cells here?
Do they? have sleeper cells here. Yes, particularly in California. And where else do they have sleeper cells? New York. What about Boston? What about DC? What about quiet communities? Not really quiet communities, but they do have a network in Minnesota, which I find that, wow, okay. But they do have a whole group in Minnesota.
There's a big Arab community in Dearborn, Michigan.
Oh, in Dearborn. What about Dearborn, Michigan? No, this is they've got a whole terrorist outfit in Minnesota.
Wow, that's interesting. Do you think they'll try to activate those?
Are you going to try to activate? That's our next move.
Wow, wow. So
But I
they're
don't feel, sorry, let me give this to you. I don't feel that these terrorists are Iranian specific, right? I feel that they're Muslim specific, but I don't feel that they're necessarily Iranians. They're paid, they're on salary, they're in standby mode. So they're definitely paid cells, and are they going to, I guess they're going to activate them.
Wow, that's crazy. And then what's Trump's consciousness like in all this? And why did he do this, do you think? What can we ask him?
Why did you bomb Iran? I mean, what we got this morning, because those targets were pretty much benign targets. They actually have nuclear weapons ready to go, especially in and around Yemen underground. Those were sort of targets that were known about, and they were happy that the West knew of so they moved everything away from there, so to make them look benign, right? And they moved everything somewhere else. So that those were sort of benign hits. Yeah, okay. The infrastructure and the damage that was done is very costly, and of course, as we probe the supreme leader, he feels like he's been made a fool of. So, on the ego scale, he feels embarrassed. Hmm. So, what do you feel now? Do you think that Iran's going to make? Oh, yeah, it's inevitable. He says it's inevitable. They're gonna try to retaliate, and what's going to happen when they try to retaliate? Okay, so when they try to retaliate, or when they do retaliate, it's going to be like shock and awe, right?
Yeah, you know what? I had a good question. I pulled this up from the chat. I'm kind of scanning the chat. This is from Keenan Lofton. I think he's one of your fans. I mean, thanks for watching, Keenan. He says, do you sense suitcase nukes within the United States that Iran may use as a dead man switch during this conflict?
Suitcase nukes. What does that mean exactly?
A suitcase nuke is like a hidden bomb, that they can carry around, and they can carry it into, let's say, it's like, what's that place in Times Square, and during New Year's Eve,
Oh.
blow it up. That's like an example of a suitcase nuke.
Will they have suitcase? I mean, if it gets that far enough into war, yes. But I have a feeling, see, when we got the information yesterday that they're going to kill this guy, right? Once they take out the supreme leader, then everything will be over.
Yeah. I was pulling this up. I was asking ChatGPT about it because I didn't know. I didn't know about this, but one of my moderators, Jason, says, "Is there any weight to the Bledsoe prediction about Iran and Israel exchange missiles?" Now, to know this, Chris Bledsoe, he's like a big figure in the ufology community. So, well, I just
Mm.
looked this up on my chat GPT real quick. It says Bledsoe claims that when Iran and Israel begin exchanging missiles, this conflict will trigger the appearance of UFOs or orbs in the sky. These
Mm.
phenomena, interpreted by him as non-human intelligence, NHI, or angels, will become clearly visible, making a direct intervention in the war. So Jason wants to know, do you feel like there's any weight to that?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes. Yes, they won't come down in physical form and expose themselves physically, right? But definitely they've already been spotted. There's already orbs in the area. They are trying to combat with using energy between Iran and Israel, is what I'm getting. And they are stopping a lot of missiles from going into either country, so they're using energy to do that, to dissolve the missiles, that not all of them obviously, but some of them as much as they can. They're using energy to dissolve some of those missiles. So that was a good question.
Well, to kind of follow up on that, a lot of people think that if this comes down to nukes, like like not suitcase nukes, but like regular nukes, like because Brad Olson, going back to the Brad Olson conversation yesterday, Brad was saying that they've got these insane hypersonic missiles that they're firing now. Like both sides have them. Iran has them, and Israel, and they're using them. And a lot of innocent people are dying, which is really sad. But like, he said that someone told him that if it comes to nukes, that the positive ETs might step in and interfere. Do you feel like there's any truth to that?
Will AT step in and interfere? Well, yeah, because they don't want the human and the soul population here on the earth plane to be wiped out. That totally defeats their agenda, is what I'm getting. Um, Now, I know your community is like really gung ho aliens, and Liz always comes in at a certain angle that is not very popular. But, they need the souls, they need the consciousness to survive here on the earth plane, because if all the souls go back to the spirit world because of a mass event, a mass event wiping souls off the face of the planet, well then the jig is up, right? You can't hijack consciousness if we're all in the spirit world.
Well,
And
I got
what
a question about that to follow up. I didn't mean to, I didn't. Or do
no,
you
it's
feel
okay.
like they are the ETs that have a negative agenda on us, and they're controlling us with like like we hear a lot about this in our community, like a soul trap matrix, like that we're in some negative reincarnation cycle, and they force us to reincarnate over and over again, using us like batteries, and it's called
Hmm.
the soul trap theory. Yeah, are you a fan of this?
Oh yeah, I totally understand it, but I try to take a more positive stance on that. Yes, it's true. This is the system. This is the machine. They need consciousness to stay alive. Yes, absolutely. But what we're trying to do, or certainly in our CTT group, is okay, well, this is the system. We're going to learn everything that we can about the system so that we can navigate our way through the system very positively and work the system in our favor instead of being a slave to the system. So, I mean, yeah, if you can try to put your soul in another paradigm, but the problem is there's no power source there in these other paradigms. And eventually, when there's no power source in these other paradigms, the soul just completely fizzles out. Well, what have you achieved then? You've achieved nothing, a lot of hard work for nothing. So, okay, yes, we understand that the soul trap system, if you want to call it that, the system, the matrix is difficult. It's not, it's not in our favor, right? This is to keep the energy moving left to right, light to dark, dark to light. But we're going to make it work in our favor.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that. So you use CTT to kind of manipulate not manipulate the system in a bad way, but manipulate it to your advantage in a good way. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So there was one CTT. Sorry, this stuff is repetitive, but there was one CTT session in particular where, if you think about since the inception of your soul, and you have contributed like a battery pack, just like you said, energy into the system for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of lifetimes, right? And you're getting just breadcrumbs by the universal consciousness. Well, no, we're not going to tolerate that anymore. What we are actually going to do is we are going to reclaim 80% of any and all energy that we've ever contributed into the universal consciousness in any lifetime, accumulatively. And we are going to take that back, and we are now going to reprogram that energy to work in our favor. So we're going to manifest with it. Now, I can tell you that the people that are actively very proactive doing this, reclaiming the 80%, using the CTT to do so, they're really starting to see major results in their lives.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really amazing. Like, and you have a CTT group for my fans that might have not saw a show with you yet. Like, you have a CTT group that meets every week, right?
Yeah, every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Central. Or they can just go to the CTT channel, the Consciousness Transformation Technique 765 on YouTube, and they can just, follow along with the videos there. I mean, it's free energy healing, open to all. The CTT group are so loving and so giving and so positive that they really like to benefit as many people as we all can benefit. So for those of us that cannot join live, we're still giving them healing, just via the recordings. So it's just, and that's good karma all the way around.
Yeah, I love that. That's cool. Yeah, that's really good. This is a change in subject, but this is from Kimberly Bramford. She says,
Ah,
"Question
Kim.
is, yeah." She says, "My husband has a broken tailbone. It
Oh
never
no.
healed. 5 years now. What does he need to do to help healing it?" And she says, "Thanks in advance."
Ooh. Hey, I see you comment all the time on my videos. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All your positive and your white light comments that you send to me and the gang, Grumpy Mr. Shakespeare, who we love so much, and Mr. Reality, who is he's recovered, thank God, and Mr. Photon, who is our crypto king. So broken tailbone. Okay, I have a man standing here. This is either a father or grandfather. I feel like this is more of a grandfather for you. Will this broken tailbone eventually heal? It's where the fracture is. He's not getting enough nutrients and oxygen and blood flow and all the things that you need to promote healing to that area. Now, what can help is if he, and I know, listen, I know what I'm about to tell you is hard because it's very expensive, but oxygen, the hyper, what do they call the bariatric, or whatever it's called, the chambers, the oxygen chambers. If somebody could drop in the chat what the name of it is,
Hyperbaric chamber. Hyperbaric chamber.
yes,
Is that
hyperbaric chamber, thank you. That is the answer, because for whatever reason, there's the blood flow to the area, the nutrient flow to the area, it's very minimal.
wow? So, okay, so that would increase the oxygen, which would increase the blood flow, which would get him healed. Is that kind of what's going on?
Yes, he does have circulation issues. Definitely that's a weak point. I don't know if you can confirm that in the chat for us, Kim, but you need to watch out, and he really needs to stay away from anything that blocks any circulation. Um, he that's his weak point. So just be very, very mindful of that. clean eating all the way, green leafy vegetables as much as possible, drinking water, um, lean protein. I'm getting like stay away from like red meat and things like that. He has a problem with dairy, by the way. He has a problem with eggs. Eggs halt the healing as well. So really, a whole overhaul needs to be done that increases oxygen flow and circulation throughout the body.
That's amazing. Yeah, and for YouTube purposes, we're not giving medical advice. We're just giving theory. What do we call it? Alternative.
Entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, independent users only. But she didn't. The only thing she responded and said she stepped away from her computer. But the only thing she said was she said she loves doing the CTT every Monday morning. So yeah,
Oh, thank you.
but she didn't. And then we got this is a strange question. This is from just me. He says, "Please ask if Iranians prefer to stay alive and make money than to die."
Mm. Do Iranians prefer to stay alive? Yeah, they don't want any part of this. They just want to do business and, go about their daily life because they're worried. Um, they're very terrified. They don't, well, we got this very strongly this morning that they're terrified. This guy, he rules with like such a strong arm. He executes people that go against him. So they're terrified, but they would really like to just be able to do business. They don't want to see what I'm getting are their towns wiped out. They don't want to see casualties. They don't want to have to rebuild because what I'm also pulling from them is where's the money going to come from to rebuild if the country's in such an absolute mess?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, so we destroyed their nuclear facilities. Wouldn't that mean that there's going to be a bunch of radiation spilled out now, or radiation in the air
Mm.
because we, you know,
Well,
or are they
let's
just
ask.
centers? So yeah,
Are there going to be negative consequences for the radiation? Is it spilled out? Not really, because those sites, what I'm getting, were pretty much deactivated.
okay. So we didn't hit any good spots as far as like getting anything done. They were already deactivated, so we didn't hit any of their important spots. Is what you're saying? Maybe I don't know.
They were just a ruse. They were just a showpiece that, okay, if you want to come inspect or if you want to monitor us via satellite, if you want to, see what we're doing, this is where we keep our nukes or whatever. But the reality is that's not where they kept a majority of their nukes. Their nukes are kept in other places. I'm getting like in mountains, they're kept in underground, they're kept in Yemen. Are they kept in Lebanon or any of those other places? They're kept in Syria, is what I'm getting. Iran pays the governments of Yemen and Syria, to use those areas, certain areas, to develop their nuclear weapons program. So, I mean, good effort. I think, but let's ask Trump. So, do you actually believe that you hit the targets? I mean, well, obviously they did hit the targets, he's saying, but do you believe that there's more targets out there? Oh, yeah. So, and what we got in an earlier reading when I was talking with someone today, they were also asking, well, what is going to come of all of this? And what we got very clearly, well, this is just the start. They will have a regime change. They will end up with someone who is like a puppet, who is a elected leader who will disclose where the other nukes are and will allow the USA and the world to come in and completely dismantle it, and they will have to dispose of these weapons. But the problem is this newly elected Democratic government or leader is going to be very weak against all of these groups in Iran, particularly like the terrorist groups that have formed.
Yeah, it's like they have proxy armies in Lebanon. Like that group Hezbollah is an Iranian backed. And the reason why I know this is because I'm part. Well, I think a lot of Americans know this, but I mean, like I'm actually part Lebanese. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
like fourth generation American, which means my family's been here for a while. But I have friends, like people, like family, like extended family that like live over there. So they grew up like Christian Lebanese. So I would hear stories growing up about the Muslims and Christians fighting in Lebanon when I was a kid, and they used to call Lebanon the Pearl of the Middle East. Like it used to be a big
Mm-hmm.
travel destination. Everybody used to go there. And then you saw I hate to say this, but you saw the Islamic takeover and like things got more strict and like, but like I remember in 2006 when Anthony Bourdain it was doing his show and he got stuck over there when the war broke out then between Hezbollah. That was just Hezbollah, which was an Iran proxy army, and versus Israel. And that was a bad war, I remember. But he got caught right in they were filming, I remember. It was crazy.
Oh, I'll
Yeah.
have to watch that one. I haven't seen that. I definitely want to channel him soon as well. Um,
I was a big fan of his. I'd
mm,
love to take my show on the road. I'd love to just like do like kind of what he did, but like kind of add like what we do into it somehow. You know what I mean? Like maybe go to like paranormal places that are like travel and historical places, serpent mounds, like Coral Castle, like put cool places, places that have like the summer and spring equinox and stuff like that, like I don't know,
mm.
like because I always loved like travel and culture, and I always thought it was so cool that he was able to go to a different place and talk about the food and stuff. And I could, I would love to do that. That would be amazing. I don't know.
Oh God, yeah. You should have been at Stonehenge yesterday.
Yeah,
That's where the summer solstice takes place.
they also said there's one at I had a Native American elder, Greg Yawaki, on yesterday. He said there's also one at Chaco Canyon, which forms a triangle, I think he said. And then Brad Olson told me, yes, obviously there's one at Chichen Itza, right? The serpent goes down the side of the pyramid. So
Oh.
it's like they knew, like somehow these ancients knew how to build these sites to where those things would show up during the equinoxes. I find that fascinating.
Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah. I hope that someday you can take your show on the road. You better come visit me.
Well,
so
yeah, we've been
mhm.
friends for a long time now. I think we've
Yeah.
been doing shows since 2022, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, and that's when all hell broke loose in my life. But it was all for the better. So this is, yeah, the Iranian people, they just want to stay as they were. Like they want minimal disruption. And who can blame them?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
This one's from Silver Theta. I thought this would be a good question. She says, "Do you see World War III happening? Is that in our timeline?"
Is World War III going to happen in our timeline? I think we're on the brink of it, yes. But I think too many people are going to be involved now.
What do you mean by that? Like what do you
They're
like?
going to intervene. They don't want more world war.
Yeah,
They're definitely going to intervene and have more diplomatic tactics. What I don't understand, and I think I said this on the video this morning. I can't remember. It's so bloody early, but who in their right mind, whether you like Trump or whether you hate Trump, who in their right mind would even challenge him because they know what he's like? I mean,
I
it's
know.
not
He's
like
a
we
wild
don't know what he's like.
he's a wild card, right? I mean, I think that's what you kind of get with him. He's definitely like a wild card, I guess. I think that's the best way to say it. I don't know. What do you think?
Um, he's not afraid to hit the button.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, he definitely isn't. I mean, some conspiracy theorists are scared that he's going to take us into World War III. Like that he's like him and Elon have this like technocratic but that's hardcore conspiracy. Like I said, I voted for Trump. I mean, because what was the choice, right? We weren't really given any choices, and I think a lot of us thought that he was going to do the right thing, like, and I still, hope that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, what do I know? I don't know nothing about politics. I just, I don't know. It's
You
so it's
just,
so confusing. It
it
really,
is. You just have to take each day as it comes, right?
yeah.
Okay, what is happening today? What can we mind probe today that is going to give us the insight to know what to do with this information that is coming out or things that are unfolding?
Yeah. We gotta PayPal from Nat Janoff. Nat Janoff said,
Oh my God, he's so sweet. Hi, Nat.
yeah, he watches some of my other psychic shows. He'll tune in sometimes. He's awesome. He says, "Hi Rob, love the show, especially with Liz on. Liz, is there the best way to manifest for me in particular? Should I say it out loud, visualize, write it down, or take action, or all the above?" He says, and thank you as always.
Mm. Should he visit? Yes, visualize, write it down, say it out loud, claim it, own it. It is yours. It will happen. Have faith that it will happen. That's your big sticking point, Nat, is that you don't have enough faith in yourself that you can be the manifester or manifest the things that you want. There's still that distrust and resistance there. So you need to work on that. Have faith that and feel confident that you can actually manifest. Nat is wonderful, by the way. For those of you that don't know who he is, you need to go to his YouTube channel. He is a phenomenal jazz and blues guitarist.
He really is.
Mhm.
He. I know he's trying to break through with that too. He's always asking about that. Like yeah. And thanks, Nat. You're amazing, man. And this next one is from Jay Shri Sharma. And thank you, Jay Shri. She said that sounds like a Persian name. She looks Persian in her picture. I'm just guessing. I don't know. But she says I have a question. Is Nita Albani going to call me? Will I be part of the NMACC show at Lincoln Center in NYC? She says.
Is Nita going to call? And is she going to be part of the? And what is the show again? Sorry.
NMACC show. Let me see. I'll say it again.
ACC show.
At the
I'm
Lincoln
getting
Center in New York City.
at the Lincoln Center in New York City. Unfortunately, I'm getting a no on that.
Wow. Wow. Is there anything she can do to like change that? Or
Is there anything that she can do to change that? Whatever is going on this show at the Lincoln Center, it's not compatible with you. As in, there's something better than that. So don't just hang your hopes on that one show. You need to go for lots of different options. Don't don't just hang on to that.
I think this has something to do with dance because her YouTube handle is Dance X Studio. Because she's responding. She says, "Oh man," and then she has a sad face in the comments. So
But there's so much more than that, is what I'm getting. She needs to go for everything that she possibly can go for.
shoot for the stars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you shoot for the stars, you can end up landing on the moon, and you wouldn't be
Mm.
the first person there because there's already people up there. I'm just it's a joke, that the people on my channel, we think there's people. When Elon talks about all this shit about going to Mars and stuff, it's like we already think there's people on Mars and biospheres. We already think there's people on the moon. I mean, I don't know. But real quick, like, do you think there's any truth to that? Do you think there's people already on Mars and the moon?
Are there people already? No, I think that back in the day, there was some sort of presence there, but they're not there anymore. It's become inhabitable. Um, or uninhabitable, sorry. Yeah. I'm not getting that. Somebody says, is it safe to travel to China in the next 6 months? Yes, it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's Earthworm. My Earthworm is here.
What do you think the moon is, Liz? Like, because like, do you ever notice that like when we have a full moon, people get crazy? So
Oh
like,
God, yeah. I used to work for the police. You do.
yeah,
Have
I think
you?
we talked about this. Yeah. So tell us about this. Like, this is what happened during the full moon when you worked for the police.
All hell would break loose. It would be like the worst shift you could possibly ever imagine. Like people killing each other, prisoners. When you would arrest people, you'd have to get the rowdy van, and they would try to split their head open in the back of the van.
Oh my
You would
God.
have, yeah, it's crazy, and they would have to walk past our CAD room, which is where we did the dispatch to go to custody, and we had windows, and they would, as they're coming by the in the hallway in custody, they're slamming their head against the windows. Um, it's just it was it's just always crazy, and then you end up having to put, because obviously they're self-harming, right? They're trying to crack their own head open, and so you have to now put in all these protocols of, suicide watch, self-harming, and that is, you can take away their shoelaces and all the things that they could possibly self harm with. But what are you supposed to do with someone who wants to crack their head open on the concrete wall of a jail cell? Like,
Yeah.
they're not equipped to handle that.
Yeah,
And
I thought it
so,
was bad. One time when I was working at Walmart, it was during a full moon, some guy came in and he started banging his head off the lettuce bin. Like there was like a big lettuce bin, like bin of like lettuce
mm,
heads, and he was like grabbed both sides of the bin and he was banging his head. I swear to my life, you know what I mean? It was like it was so crazy. They had to remove him from the store, and then he wouldn't leave. You know what I mean? And he was like trying to fight the manager. It was crazy. It was insane. You
the
know?
full moon. So let's ask the moon. Why is it that the full moon brings out like the crazy emotions and behavior in people? So it exacerbates psychiatric behavior, is what the moon is telling me. Why does it do that? It's the magnetic pull on that level of the psyche, or on that area of the psyche, is so strong that they can't control it.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, that makes sense though. It's like, wow. It makes me wonder, like, do you think the moon is something more sinister?
Is the moon something more sinister? I mean, I think everything has light and dark. It depends how you use it and how you look at it. I mean, I think the moon is a very valuable tool to get a lot of information. You can probe the moon and you can pretty much find out whether, it's going to be a good day in the market. Excuse me. Or if it's going, I've been sneezing all day, sorry. Or, if it's going to be a bad day in the market. The moon pulls on people's emotions. It is it fear or is it greed? It's just like how we just got the information. It pulls on the psychiatric parts of the brain that are not able to be controlled by mentally unstable people.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. Like, sometimes when there's a full moon, I just want to lock myself in the studio and just not even associate with people.
I love the full moon though. I use it. You will get your best remote viewing sessions. You will get your best psychic information around the full moon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. We had another donation. This is from Max Pan, and he
Oh,
said, He says, at the moment, I'm part of a research lab, the DART lab, the DART lab. He says, do you think I should stick around, find a new research lab, or find a new job?
At the moment, he's part of the Dart Lab. Should he stick around? Yes, you should stick around, but at the same time, you need to have a side hustle or something on the side. Whatever you're doing, the lab job you're doing now, it's not enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like everybody needs to have a couple side hustles nowadays, you know?
Oh, you're not kidding. Yeah.
Mm. Oh, this is an interesting one. This is from Nathan Wayswitch Fox. He says, could you do a reading on his involvement in the Montauk Project?
And I'm sorry, which project?
The Montauk Project.
Top project. What is the involvement? Well, it's not, you want to be involved, but for whatever reason, you're just kind of on the fringes of being involved, but you would really like to be involved, but you're heavily protected and you're not supposed to be there. So I have no idea what this project is, but you are not supposed to be in the thick of this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, see, what they say is the Montauk Project. It happened, but they think it's still happening too. It's like a time travel project, that like supposedly happened, like that was happened in Montauk, New York, but then went to other places. Like, who knows what the government has going on? I have a feeling they're way ahead of us. I mean, I think that's a given, but I mean, it's just like how ahead are they and what they have? It's like, it's yeah, this one's from Andy W. He says, "Hi Liz, we always come into each reincarnation with the same facial features." He wants to ask, and he says, "Also, should I do QHHT training?"
Oh, that's just she, by the way.
Oh,
She's my
sorry.
earthworm. I love her. She'll send me emails. Liz, it's me, earthworm. And every time she said, because one time I have to tell everyone, I'm sorry, so they know what we're talking about. So one time I did a past life reading for her, and I was like, oh my God, you're an earthworm. And I gave her this whole thing about her being an earthworm. And so now whenever she communicates to me, she's like, Liz, it's earthworm here. Should you take the QHHT training? Yes, I'm getting a yes on that. It will be slow to start, but it's something not for really monetary making money, monetary purposes, but you will thoroughly enjoy it is what I'm getting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I hope that works out for you.
Yeah, she's a
Oh,
good egg.
that's awesome. This one's from Charas Eza. He sent a PayPal. He
Mhm.
says, "Hi, Robin Liz." He says, "I wanted to know if the spirit or universe actually listens to all the self-talk discussions I do with it and them." She says,
Mm.
"They have a message for me." He says,
Just spirit, is the universe listening? Yes, and you tend to get angry with the universe as well. You tend to have this love hate relationship with all of these things you're communicating with. And I'm giggling because like I totally get it, right? I mean, I think we've all been there. But you tend to have this, please forgive me. I'm like trying to work with you for another day, and then you get really frustrated. Why isn't this happening? Why isn't this thing going for me? So is the universal consciousness listening? Oh, loud and clear. Loud and clear. You've got to stop going flip-flopping, okay? Whenever you're flip flopping on that belief system, yes, I am going to live the day and I'm going to thank the universe, and then you get so angry and then you flip flop. That's actually like a self sabotage mechanism. So I would stop the flip flopping.
"Wow, that's yeah. I think that's a good message, Charas. I would yeah. That's. Okay, I said maybe we do one or two more because I know you're busy and stuff.
It's all right.
Oh,
I
okay.
love these people. They're all great people. So I mean, I try to do as much as I can for everybody. Yeah, and I cooked dinner early tonight. I I knew
Okay,
I
well,
was
maybe we
going
can
on
go
your.
for another 10 minutes or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew I was coming on. So I said, okay, slow cooker and steamer are your best friends, people. I got the slow cooker out. I started early so dinner would be ready. Everybody would be fed and watered by the time I got on the show.
That's cool. That's really cool. Would you make anything? Would you make tonight?
It was kind of boring tonight because it's so hot here. It's like 100 degrees.
It is here too
Um,
in Pittsburgh too. It's been raining in Pittsburgh every day. Every
oh,
day.
wow.
I don't know why. It feels like it's like we're getting the weather from Seattle, and that makes me think that there's some kind of pole shift going on or something. Like I
Mm,
don't know. It's just really bizarre weather. Or that how they say like April showers bring May flowers, but it was like May going
yeah.
into June, and it was like literally raining every day. You
We had
know,
the same thing. We did, but now it's like 100 degrees. So I just cook spaghetti. But most of the time on Sundays, I do a full English roast, traditional roast dinner. So it would either be roast chicken with roast potatoes and parsnips and carrots and broccoli and peas and, all the stuff that everybody I work so hard to put together and then nobody's hungry. No, I'm teasing. They do eat it. But I said, no, I'm not doing all that in 100-degree weather. I got my slow cooker out today, which I love my slow cooker. My best friends are my slow cooker, my steamer, and my robot vacuum. I love all of them very dearly. So yeah, I got the slow cooker out and just threw some, spaghetti stuff in, lots of vegetables, and yeah.
I love spaghetti. I'm on a big diet right now because I'm trying to get in shape because I might be going to this conference in July. Can you ask this question like
I don't feel like you're going to that conference. What conference is it?
it's called I was going to ask you about it. It's called the Full Disclosure Now conference. I went last summer and they want me there and I'm trying to raise funds for it right now and stuff and like do you think it's a good idea I go or do you think I will go and like what do you get from that?
It is a good idea if you can go, but I don't think you're going to go this year.
Wow.
And your dad's in spirit, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your dad. But you will be back to where you were this time next year.
You think? Oh wow, that's amazing. I would love that. That would be amazing. Like it really would. Like because this rebuilding phase has been not fun much at
Oh, I
all.
know. I know. I had to do it. I had two channels shut down. I know what it's like. It's awful. And this is where you're really tested to see how dedicated you actually are as a person and in the work that you do. This is a real test because a lot of people, when they get their channels ripped down, that's it. They're gone.
Yeah, but like I've found a way to like kind of um just kind of stick around I guess like I love what I do though me I think I told you this I was a big fan of Art Bell growing up like I
Mm,
didn't know about any half of this stuff but like one day in like 1999 I was listening to the radio and I tuned into this guy at like 1 o'clock in the morning talking about all this strange stuff and it was like all this stuff I had always wondered about in my life and it was Art Bell and I ever anytime I could listen to him I would and then me and my friends I got my friends listening to him and we would talk about like all the mysteries of the universe and then life happens and like
mm.
and then I had a reawakening in 2015 to like all these other concepts and then I remembered the Art Bell stuff from when I was like young and that's what made me start doing this and then I never thought that I'd be talking about the stuff I'm talking about now because I do realize it gets pretty dark but I mean I feel like
Mhm.
it's our job to expose the dark too to a certain degree
Yeah, well, I don't know if you listen to Art Bell or, the Coast to Coast lately, but oh my God. Connie Willis, are you a fan of Connie Willis?
I like her I think she's all right.
So I had a massive run in with Connie Willis.
What happened? You
Major
want to talk
run
about
in.
it?
It was terrible. Yeah, I don't care.
What
A
happened?
major run in with Connie Willis. Oh my God. She was so awful to me. So, what happened was this. George Duisman, who is the creator of CTT, right? And I basically studied under his wing for years. And then I promised him I would take the CTT over, and he gave it to me to carry the torch. Anyway, George had been very unwell for about a year, and Connie Willis sort of roams around in the remote viewing groups, and she also was a part of this really big group that tries to use remote viewing to make money. And for the life of me, I can't remember. Oh, the Applied Precognition Project. That's what it's called. And it's run by Marty Rosenblatt. So you guys, they did everything via email. I think it's all kind of dying out now because it hasn't been really modernized, and he hasn't taken it, as far as I'm aware, to social media. So it's still done all by old fashioned email. And if you're in the group, everybody always hits reply all to all the emails, and you end up with like 300, 400, 500 emails a day. I couldn't deal with it. So, but anyway, Connie Willis, George was in that group, and Connie Willis stumbled upon George in the CTT, and she was having whatever going on in her life, and she goes to George, and George says, oh yeah, well, let's try a 4 minute miracle, which I don't actually do 4 minute miracles anymore because there has to be a lot more to the protocol now, so I have evolved that. And but anyway, so she tried to do this 4 minute miracle. She goes, hey, I want you on my show and talk about CTT. Now, George had been very ill. He was actually dying of cancer. And the week leading up to the show, George, I had prepped George for the Coast to Coast show. We'd gone over it so many times. What are you going to say if she asks you this? Because when you do these media things, Rob, you know this. Oftentimes, they automatically submit the questions to you, right?
Yeah, yeah, I
So
do.
you
Yeah,
have some sort of plan in place about what everybody's going to talk about. And so we went over the questions because George was so ill. He was actually bedridden, and he could not. He's like, Liz, I don't think I can do the show. I want you to go on my spot on Coast to Coast. And I said, okay, if that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do. And Connie Willis phoned me up on my cell phone, and she was screaming at me down the phone. Why are you not in Washington State? Why are you not taking care of George? Why have you not got him ready for my show? I don't care if you have to like prop him up with pillow. I mean, it was horrible. And I said, Connie, he's dying of cancer. He wants to call an ambulance, but he's holding on for your show tonight. And she was impossible. She was screaming and shouting down the phone, and I thought, this woman is not a nice one. She just really is not a nice person. Anyway, so George, I called him. I said, look, she's hysterical and she's screaming down the phone. And he managed to do the show, but as soon as he finished the show that night, Coast to Coast, and you guys should listen to it, but as soon as he finished the show, he actually called 911. He was admitted to the hospital, and he never came home. He died in the hospital after the
well,
show. She was so nasty. She was horrific and clearly very unstable. And I just like, so I know a lot of people listen to her. I know she has fans, but when you treat a dying man, in that way, and even though I was said to her, like, Connie, he's dying, he's on his deathbed, and he's wanting to call the ambulance, and I am, several states away from him, and she just would not let up, and I said, look, I know the content. I can do this show. You don't need to panic and worry. I probably know more now about the CTT than George does because I'm actually a psychic medium and I'm a remote viewer, and you can ask me whatever you want to about the CTT. And she went mental. She went absolutely mental and hysterical, and she really didn't care that George was dying of cancer. And so the next day, I messaged her and I said, "Thank you, Connie, for allowing George to go on your show. Just to let you know, he called 911 and he's like dying in the hospital." And she goes, "Yeah, well, at least he did the show." I mean, she wasn't sympathetic at all. She
That's
didn't care.
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, I never would have thought that from her, you know. But what I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to tell people was what else is interesting is I think I contacted you right around that time. It was like I think it was 2022, and that's how I met you
Mm-hmm.
because like I was looking for guests on the Coast to Coast website because I was a
Yeah.
big listener to Coast then, and I contacted George, and you responded, and you said, and I always tell people this when we do the shows. You responded and you said George has cancer, and you said, but I can do the show, and I was like, oh, that's cool, you know, and we decided to do it, and now it turned into 3 years later and we're still doing shows, which is like pretty
Yeah.
interesting, you know, like
Yeah, that's exactly how we met because George was like, she was like, "I need an email address. Why are you answering his emails?" I'm like, "Because he's dying of cancer. He's bedridden. He will be doing the show tonight, laying down on a cot in his living room because he is literally dying of cancer. He is bedridden. He cannot move." And she did not care. She's like, "Well, I guess you'll have to do." And I mean, she was effing and blinding me down the phone. I was very nice to her, and she was just a horrible, horrible person. And I hope she hears this because you know what? I will say that you were a good lead from that show. There were some good leads from the show, but most of her listenership were schizophrenics who were contacting me about laser beams hitting them in the forehead and that their bodies were covered in spiders and what psychic information could I use to get rid of. And I'm like, okay, this coast to coast crowd is not like how it was back in the day. Back in the day when it was like Art Bell and he had all these interesting guests on. I mean, it was amazing. It was a phenomenal show. I'm not knocking George Norrie. I don't listen to Coast anymore. And certainly it was a big thing for all of us, probably most of us here tonight. And now they've got someone like Connie Bloody Willis, who is behind the scenes, is absolutely heartless and horrific.
you know
And
what? You know what's
so,
crazy too? Like a lot of these guys, these hosts of Coast to Coast. Like I've tried to reach out to a couple of them, and I won't even say, but like it seems like they get such a big ego from being on
mm,
Coast to Coast. They think it's like the end all be all. But like you know, what's interesting is like the people who are on YouTube, like the people in my community, the people in your community, like
mm,
people like us, we're doing our own thing. And I feel like we're surpassing the Coast to Coast crowd because I feel like their
mm,
material is dying. I really do, you know, and I feel like the stuff that
it
we're
is.
coming out with is more cutting edge, you know. I don't know.
Well, first of all, George stayed up all night long to do that interview. He was on Coast to Coast for 4 hours. It started at midnight and it went on until his time, 4 a.m. And
Wow.
how he held it together. That was his big show. That was his last hurrah moment. And he pulled it together for her. And she was on the radio. She was very nice, right? It's behind the scenes, she is so horrific. And to treat a man who was dying of cancer in that way, that just soured me completely. I was like, I don't ever really want to listen to her on Coast to Coast ever again. There was no need for her to behave in that way. And I was trying to calm her down and I was trying everything. And as I was trying to calm her down, she was getting louder and screaming to the point that my husband was sitting across the room and I held the phone away from my ear because she was screaming so loudly down the phone, effing and blinding, foul language. And my husband's like, "Hang up the phone. Who is this screeching mad woman on the phone?" You
Yeah,
know,
really.
she was terrible. She was terrible. So yeah, that's Connie Willis. But yeah, I mean, I think the show pretty much died, unfortunately, with Art Bell. And I who was the guy that used to go on the Art Bell show? Who would say he was from the future or he was a time traveler? What was his
There's
name?
John Teeter. There was John, and then there was a couple. There was John Teeter. There was Madman Markham, and then there was Andrew Basago. You know, so there was like three. But John, I think you
Oh,
might be referring to John Teeter. I'm not
yeah,
sure. You
that's
know,
him. I want to probe him to see if he was legit. Um, but I mean, Art Bell was interesting. He really was.
yeah, he had a voice. I wish I had his radio voice, and I'd love to turn. That's another thing I'd like to do. I'd like to turn my show into like a long form radio show like that. You know, I'd love to be up overnight doing this and stuff like
Mhm.
that. You know, I don't know. Like I just do it now, like because I basically fit whoever. Because a lot of people have families, right? And nobody wants to be up all night. So like most people can do like 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern, you know, and that's good because it's prime time anyway. So it's like like I did spaced out radio, and I had to
Mhm.
go. I had to go. It started at midnight, and I was on there from midnight until 2 a.m. And I was like, this is exhausting. I was like, I mean, I
Yeah,
like to late at night, but still, it was kind of like it was a lot, you know, like to be up that, you know, I don't know, like I
it's a
don't
lot
think,
of hard work.
yeah,
It's hard work. I mean, but I think people have too much choice now. Not too much choice, but certainly they have so much choice now that I think that Connie Willis and that crew are pretty much irrelevant now. Their content isn't great. They have to really bend and appease the the advertisers. It's sort of old hack. That's not how things work anymore.
yeah. They don't even have much of a YouTube presence, you know. They really don't, and it's yeah, it's we did get one more we got one more PayPal. This is from Gilbert de Guzman,
Oh
and
my God, I was just thinking about him the other day. Oh my God, hi Gilbert.
he says, "Hi Liz, can you tap into my soul and see if I have any money blockages or bad karma?" He says, "Thank you."
Mm, he's so nice. Does Gilbert have everybody? Oh, you know what? Our fan base is so nice, and they're not crazy schizophrenics like on Coast to Coast, right? Those people, the emails, I should forward them to you someday. The emails I got, like, I've got, things crawling under my skin. What can you do to heal me? And they needed to speak to George so they could be, it was just terrible. Okay, let's ask Gilbert, what money blocks does Gilbert have? I'm going to have to go into a past life for this. Let's go into a past life for Gilbert to identify what is blocking him or what money blocks maybe there. Okay. Okay, Gilbert, in a previous lifetime, you were actually a shoemaker. Okay, this is going back several hundred years. You were very, very good at what you did. And of course, back in that time, everybody dealt in cash, right? So your prices were not, extraordinary. They were pretty gentle. I feel that you had a big heart of gold and you would just take what people could offer. Times were very difficult, but what happened was you ended up stockpiling cash in your house and you were robbed frequently. So your biggest blockage is holding on to the money. Money does flow into you. That's not a problem. It's holding on to that money. And that would be where your blockage is.
I would say that's a problem for a lot of us, right? I feel like I have that
Mm.
problem too, you know.
Oh,
I
God, yeah.
it's like because it's always like there's always like this expense and that expense, and you know what I mean, and this membership and that member, you know, like stuff I gotta do for the
Hmm.
show and stuff like that. Like today I had to pay StreamYard. You know, StreamYard's not inexpensive. You know, it's crazy how much StreamYard charges for, like, you know, like it's like they're you know, and what do you like to use for like streaming? Do you use
So,
a specific software?
no, I can't, I'm not that tech savvy. I don't know how to do all that. I just use Zoom. I just use Zoom. I don't do live like where how you do on YouTube. I'll do lives with our group, and we, then it's pre-recorded live, and then I just post it, which I need to do some more live shows. I want to this summer, definitely, because I love doing lives. They're just so much fun, and you learn so much, and it's good to really test your skills that way when people are asking questions and you're just running through people very quickly, which is what we haven't been doing tonight because I haven't been answering questions that much.
No, it's
Do you
okay.
have
I was
more
gonna say if
questions?
you ever want my help, I'll help you any way I can. For real.
You're
Like
so
if
nice.
you have any
Thanks.
questions about it or anything, like it's pretty easy. I can help you. It's pretty. You can streamline. You can even use Zoom now to stream to multiple places. For example, right now we're live on Rumble, we're live on YouTube, and we're live on Facebook. I do all three. And
Oh,
I know
wow.
people say Facebook isn't that great anymore, but they're stopping censorship. So I feel like it's a great way to reach people because a lot of people are still on Facebook. When I got taken down from YouTube, a lot of the people, my community on Facebook rallied around me. So I was like, man, I'm lucky. I had at that point, I had that, so like, I don't
Mhm.
know. I mean, but then he was on Rogan, by the way, the Zuckerbot, or
Yeah,
Zuckerberg,
Zuckerberg.
he said he wasn't going to censor anymore. So, I'm trying to hold him to his word because I definitely test the waters, you know. But
Wow.
here, this is from DJ. He says, how will Australia be affected by the Middle East war? He says, and then he also wants to know, am I leaving my current job very soon to find a better source of income?
Are you leaving your current job? No. You better sit tight in that job. Um, I know you don't like it. I know you're miserable, but how will Australia be impacted? Just Australia is still going through inflation, and oil prices are going to go higher. Also, I just feel like your cost of living expenses are still going up and up and up and up. It's like never, it's not slowing down. So again, here's another thing from Spirit about you need to, whilst you are looking for a better paid job, but that better paid job is not going to give you the stability of the job that you have now. You need to find a side hustle as well. Now, Rob, I don't know if you know, but I put out these funds. I mean, everybody knows this. I talk about it. I've been banging the drum for over a year that are passive. You can create a passive income with these high dividend yields. I'll give you the information about it. But yeah, you guys have got to find passive income streams, and it's just something. This is the new way of life now.
What is
This
a
is the
high
new
dividend
life.
yield? What is a high dividend yield?
So you buy a stock or an ETF. You buy an ETF, and every month, or some of them are every week, they pay a dividend for you holding the stock. And what happens is you basically, well, what I do is I just reinvest it and drip it back in, and it's growing and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So, especially with the weeklies, one week I was getting $21. Then I saw that it went up to 22, and now it's like at 35. And you just let it sit there and drip back into the fund, and eventually you will create a passive income stream without the need to really having to work at it. You don't have to go get a side hustle. You don't have to rely upon YouTube paying you a wage. You would just steadily invest in these high dividend yields.
I'd like to learn more about that. Definitely. Like, how can I learn more about that? Like, I mean, like, do you have videos out on that, or like, what
Oh
is it?
God. Yeah, we talk about it all the time, but what you need to do is you need to check out Rod, Retire on Dividends guy, his channel, and he tells you how to do it. And he also has a free Discord as well. So yeah, I started out small with my oldest son. I started out with like two funds here, and then I put like $20 there, and $40, and I've been watching it grow. And he's now 18. He just turned 18. He's an adult. Oh my God. But that's my oldest. My youngest is 5. But the as an 18-year-old, his friends they're all in college and they're struggling, and yet my kid, I don't let him have the income, but I let him see, well, you've got X amount coming in per month, and guess what? You don't even have to do anything for it. You just let it sit there and let it grow and keep letting it grow, right? You're going to be better off than all your college friends because you've got this passive income stream.
Wow, I got to learn how to do that. But speaking of donate, we got a donation from Laura Irene McEwen, and thank you, Laura. She says,
Oh,
"Many thanks from just me." She says, I think she had a question. Did I answer her question? Like,
oh,
or did we ask her question? I wanted to make sure we got her question, and I didn't know if she, you know,
just me? No, I don't know how to search the live chat. Um, can you drop your question in again, please, just
yeah.
me?
Yeah, drop your question in again because I would hate to miss your question. That would be, But thank you. That was very nice of you. And let me see here. She says, "No, you didn't." She says about the bully. She says, let me see if I can find. Can you drop your question again? Just me?
Oh, it was about, I read that. It was about her former boss is refusing to pay her. Is that the one? Yes, it is. Her former boss is refusing to pay her because she doesn't want to do, he's very mean. Okay. He is hateful, actually. It's you do what he wants you to do, and if you refuse to comply, well, then you must be punished.
Wow. That's horrible. That's horrible.
You
Some
won't ever get that money from him, by the way.
Wow. So should she go to another job or something? Or
Yes,
wow. She said he's going to destroy me. Don't let him
yeah,
destroy you. Don't let it get to
he
that.
is.
Leave before that happens. Find something else.
You're gonna have to take him to court. Um, he doesn't care about any employment laws, employment rules, none of that. And yeah, he's not running whatever this is, he's not running it properly. So you won't get that money. You will have to take him to court. You will win if you take him to court, by the way.
Wow. That's amazing. Like you should do it, just me. Like you really should. Um, and I hope it works out for you. That's horrible that people are like that. This world is so messed up. I don't understand how people can act like that with a conscience. It's like what happened to that person that they need to act like that. Like I don't know. She says I just got catfished for a year. Been a hard. Oh, that was someone else. Sorry. This is an interesting question from Zia XX. She says this Iran was a practice war to go against a war with AI aliens, or are they just testing out new weapons?
Hmm. Is this a practice for testing out? No, no, it's not. Is it just a practice for testing out new weapons? I mean, what I'm getting is on Trump's personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions. It was a great opportunity. That's what he's saying. A great opportunity to try these weapons, yes, and to see how effective they are. But no, I'm not getting. I'm not getting that it's AI.
Um, um, that's interesting. And then this one's from. We'll do maybe a couple more, then we'll go because we've been going an hour and a half. This is from a pinch of salt. I love her picture. That's hilarious. She says, "Hi, my name is Anna from the UK, and I had a scalar service enhancement and protection service from Elisa. I was wondering if it was working for me. Should I continue having it every 6 months? Would CTT be better?"
CTT does work. Your problem is you're not in alignment. But here's the thing with Scalar, okay? And I'm not saying anything bad about Elisa or Channeling Eric or Atlanta Scalar or anything like that. But sometimes problems are so complex that you need Scalar every day for at least 12 hours a day, right? Well, who can afford that, right? Those services, they do cost money. And so you may be better off investing in your own Spooky 2, Spooky 2, Spooky 2. Why they called it that, I have no idea. Spooky 2 scalar device, learning how to work it yourself and just leaving your scalar on. You can sleep in your scalar field, you can program your scalar field. That may be the better option because I feel that you're really trying to bring everything into optimum alignment. And of course, the CTT will also help you with that. So that's a great question.
Yeah, and we just got two more donations. And this is I'm gonna have to
Well, you can keep the
pay you. I'm
donations,
gonna have to
Rob.
pay you some money. I'm gonna have to pay you some money, Liz.
No,
But
I don't want anything. I want you to keep it for having me on as a thank you.
are you serious?
Yes, of course.
I mean, I don't mind. Like I don't know. This one's from my friend Rebecca. She says she sent PayPal. She says I have a trip around the corner and I'm torn on driving or flying.
She has a trip around the corner, drive or fly. Fly.
Okay, and be careful. Rebecca. She's a
Don't
she's
go
a
Boeing. No. She's not going to have any problems. Um, she's not a big fan of driving, but she's willing to do it. But I'm getting flying would be the better option.
Yeah. And then this one's from Tina Ching. She says, "Do I have any psychic or mediumship ability?"
Oh, Tina, how are you? Does Tina have any psychic or mediumship? She definitely has some strong intuition, and she's very good at tarot cards, pendulum work. Just keep practicing. I feel like you do some of this already, but just keep practicing, Tina. So, yeah, definitely
Uh,
keep trying to open that up.
and then I'll make this the last one. This is from my friend Renee Nagel. She's watching on Facebook. You would get along with Renee. She does EMDR therapy. That's like
Oh, wonderful.
yeah, and she's a psychotherapist. She works with veterans and stuff like that. She's a really good person, and she's been on my show a couple times. And I really like Renee a lot. She says I was hired as a contractual psychotherapist at this agency, and it's taking me over 2 months to get through their credentialing process. When will I be getting consistent referrals for therapy clients? She says.
When will she be getting consistent referrals for therapy client? Okay. It's not going to be consistent. You're going to have to also try to find your own clientele as well. So you're going to have to try to get a steady stream of clients in that you find, as well as getting these referrals. Um, I feel whatever this is you've signed up to is absolutely saturated. Is it saturated? Yes, and it's very hard to get work from them. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I was just gonna say maybe you should come back on my show, Renee. Like, you could come on and maybe we could help you get some clients and like just contact me or I'll contact you, either one. And yeah, and I mean, this was with the Andromeda has a question. I can't go
Oh,
without thinking.
Andromeda. Okay.
He always does. He's awesome. He's been a big supporter. He's a nice guy. He really is. The Andromeda's an Iraqi refugee, and he's living in Europe. So I'm sure he's
Oh.
had a rough life. Like but he says a question for Liz. What is my anchor dimension now? He says, I mean, what is my anchor dimension for my multidimensional? Also, he says, is the source of this universe not my true origin?
Is the source of this universe not his true origin? No, it is your true origin. Okay. And what do you mean by anchored? I don't understand that. Rob, what is that?
I don't know. I don't know what he means. Like, oh, he's his anchor dimension. Like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he resting his consciousness? Like, is he
Oh,
here, or is he in like the fifth dimension, or is he in like, you know what I mean?
no, he's definitely, that's a good question. Okay, I like that term. Um, his consciousness, his human consciousness is not like here on the earth plane. He definitely tends to have his consciousness off the earth plane. He wants to be somewhere else. But his soul consciousness, there's a big detachment from the human consciousness and the soul consciousness. So his soul consciousness is really struggling to reattach with that human consciousness. Where in the soul consciousness is firmly embedded within the body.
Yeah. He may not feel like it sometimes because he might be traveling to other realms and he might be
Mm-hmm.
he might be very active in the astral or something like that. But like I think you're right, like and maybe that's why he feels that way or something. I don't know. And this is another really good question. This is from Jason. I had to put this up, and this might tie into what the Andromedan says. Maybe if the Andromedan had a head injury, because Jason says, "Do you guys think someone can become psychic after a head injury?"
Oh gosh, do you think so much? Yes, absolutely, they can.
Yeah, well, but do you think it like knocks something loose, or what like, or it
Mm.
opens something up, or like,
Does it open something up? Well, it can shut down parts of the brain that act as blockages. So
wow,
where there's parts of the brain that block. Now, does that mean that you go out and bang yourself in the head? No, because if it's supposed to happen, it will happen. As for me, Jason, I mean, I was born with this ability. My mother was a psychic medium, my grandmother was a psychic medium, and my great grandmother was also a psychic medium. And I'm pretty sure my kids, especially my little one, is very, very psychic medium. Um, so there is that inherited ability, but also the CTT is extremely powerful. If you do the CTT a lot over a long period of time, like if you're doing like one or two sessions a day, you're going to open up and unlock those parts of the brain exponentially. So don't forget the CTT is an excellent tool to use in that way.
yeah, I agree. How do people sign up for the CTT?
They could just go to the CTT channel, the Consciousness Transformation Technique 765 YouTube channel, and they just follow along. It's so easy to do. You just tap and you follow along.
Wow. So you have live groups for it still, or
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We do a live group. In fact, we have one tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central. But yeah, I mean, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful tool. It empowers you. It unlocks parts of your brain. It removes blockages. I mean, it really makes you so strong.
yeah, that's amazing. I'd like to do it. Like because
Well,
I feel
you're
like
more than welcome.
I feel like I'm opening up my psychic abilities, like or I'm starting to come into them or something. I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised with this stuff that you tap into. So, I mean, but you're more than welcome to come along. I'll give you a link and you can just join us every Monday morning. It would be great. And you literally just use bilateral arm tapping and you repeat after me. And yeah, job done. It's real easy to do. It's portable. You can take it anywhere with you. As long as your arms are working, you're good to go.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, this has been amazing, Liz. Thank you so much. We went a long time. We
Thank
went
you.
an hour and 42 minutes. I hope we didn't go too long. And Renee says she'd be interested as well. So um,
Awesome.
Renee says she says she would love to join you. Like, so you just go to so for Renee to do that, she just goes to the Consciousness Transformation 765 channel on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. Just go there. That's your starting point. Try it out first and see how you feel. And yeah, and then just come back to us if you want to be in the group for sure. So, oh, Silver Theta's here. Do we see World War III happening? I mean, I think we're gonna get pretty darn close. I really do. Um, yeah, Silver Theta's a good egg. They're all good eggs tonight. We're very lucky. So thanks, Rob, for inviting me on the show. I really appreciate it. I always enjoy talking to you and learning things with you. And I'm sorry we weren't able to get to all of the questions. And thank you all for your donations. They're all going to Rob tonight because we want him to succeed and keep this content alive for us. Be sure to subscribe to Rob's channel. For my crew that you don't know who Rob is, well, now you do. He's great. And Rob, thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, that was like really nice of you, Liz. Honestly, I mean that really is heartfelt. Like I really appreciate it. Like not a lot of. I mean, like some people do that, but like it's really nice that you do that. Like it means a lot to me. And I'm really glad I met you. 3 years
You
ago.
too.
I never would have thought that we would have went this far and like done so many shows. And a lot of those got deleted when I lost my channel. So it's good we're
Yeah.
doing new ones. But I still have I think I still have a lot of the material. Like I just got to dig
Yeah.
through because I've done over 2,000 shows.
I
So
know.
like so it's like I don't know, but I can try to find them. But yeah, you're always awesome to talk to, and you always have
Oh,
such a good
thank you.
perspective on stuff. So I really
Oh,
appreciate it. And I, I,
thank
I
you.
just want to say, like, I'm sorry what you had to go through with Connie Wells. I didn't realize that happened, and like that was totally
Mhm.
unprofessional of her. I don't care.
If
Like
you ever get a phone call from Connie Willis, just be warned. I mean, I was shocked. I was shocked that someone who is as big as Connie Willis, a radio personality, would treat someone who is dying of cancer. Like literally, he called 911 as soon as the show was finished. That was it. George was taken to the hospital and he never came home and he died. The show was in the around the end of July. He died like a month or two. No, he died in September. So he died 6 weeks later. They basically put him on hospice and he was a vet. He was laying there. If you've ever seen someone die of cancer with
my dad,
yeah,
my
of
dad,
course you did.
it was horrible. It's
It is horrible.
it's really sad. Then my mom's boyfriend died of cancer too, not
Oh
too long ago.
man, I'm
So
so
she had to go.
sorry.
It's yeah, that's what I don't like about this realm, or whatever this is we live in, this
Mm.
world. Like I don't like the fact that people have to die of cancer, and I just don't it really doesn't sit with me right. I don't think anybody should have to go through that. It's really bad. I don't know. Do you think there's a purpose to it? Like, is there? I mean,
Oh
like,
yeah, oh yeah. It's there's yes, but this is where we as the CTT group are saying, you know what? Enough is enough. We're not going to pick out these circumstances to maximize the learning. We are now going to pick out circumstances that help us instead of harm us, right? So, we don't need more trauma to obtain spiritual growth anymore. We're trying to turn that around. But yeah, basically, those souls who die in those ways. I mean, they chose that was their exit strategy. And it brings about a lot of emotions and triggers a lot of soul contracts with a lot of different people, even the people that are caring for them and who are watching them die, the nurses, the staff, the doctors, family. Everybody's involved in that soul contract,
yeah,
including Bloody Connie Bloody Willis. She, you know, somewhere in there was a soul contract to be so heartless to George, and I bore the brunt of that because the man was dying. I rather she yelled at me than to scream and shout down the phone to him because she was, and I sort of took over. Um, but yeah, I mean that lesson in hindsight, the lesson to me is, well, just be sure that you never treat anyone else in that way, you know.
yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. People should be more thinking of their actions before they do something like that. Because it can cause more trauma. It's bad all around. Yeah, it's really yeah.
He
Anyway,
held it together for the show, though. If you list, somebody's just posted the link to that show. If you listen to that show, you wouldn't even know that George was sick. He was literally on his deathbed when he did that show.
that's my moderator, Jason. By the way, he's amazing. He always posts the best links for, like, he'll post all your links, and he somehow dug up that show. Like, it's amazing that he was able to do that. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
he's a really good friend. I wish I could pay him. You know what I mean? Like, he puts me in my moderator. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I know.
a better moderator. You know what I mean? He's amazing. Like, he's been on my show too. He came on, and Jason came on and talked about the Boogosphere, which was that sphere they found. Did you see that? It looked like an alien sphere. It had carvings on it and stuff like that. It was really,
No.
yeah, it was, yeah. But I better get going. I want to go work out before, I'm on this crash diet, I've
Oh
been
God.
losing a lot of weight fast, but like, it takes a lot of energy out of me, It
Oh,
does.
well, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone this evening. And we enjoyed the questions. So, yeah, thanks, Rob. And we'll just keep doing these, rocking and rolling. That's what we do.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, thank you, Liz, and thank you, everybody. And everybody have a good night. And thank you, everybody, to tune in. Thank you to everybody who
Awesome.
donated. And yeah, good night.